Chat, welcome to a segment where we learn about SCPs. This is a segment by Jizzy Jazz, so now you can definitely take it seriously. I personally, Vinny, speaking for myself here, don't know much about SCPs. Sure, I've played some games with a little bit of that stuff in there. Maybe I've seen a video or two, but this is not something I ever delved into. So, we're going to take a look. Forward. As I'm sure you all know, the SCP Foundation is a fictional secret organization from a collaborative online creative writing project dedicated to containing paranormal anomalies and preventing them from wreaking havoc across the outside world. Here's the criteria. I scoured the SCP Foundation wiki for the most non-standard, bizarre, and uncanny entries that differ from the usual neck-snapping statues, eldritch gods, and invincible killer reptiles that everyone's already familiar with. In a nutshell, these are weird SCPs that I thought Vinny would enjoy reading about and the chat would fall asleep to. For those uninitiated, keep an open mind and go into this like it's an X-Files Monster of the Week. I would also like to shout out the SCP Foundation Wiki for being a great creative writing resource. With that being said, I hope you enjoy my pack. So here's one. Bubbly Bobby the Rubber Ducky by Satafor. SCP-6868 is an animate and sentient rubber duck toy which is able to maneuver itself slowly with small jumps. Since its discovery, it has refused all attempts at communication and actively hops away from any personnel attempting to come near it. Its defining anomalous property is triggered upon physical contact with any liquid. The entity is capable of transforming liquid substances into purified water and pink soap bubbles. Wow. The bubbles then form small animate replicas of various types of ships, submarines, and airplanes, which can fly around autonomously. Wait, what? Huh? Discovery. A man named Klaus Hertz had found SCP-6868 in his personal effects and chronicled the discovery to a friend through text messages. A subsequent autopsy of Klaus Hertz revealed that all bodily fluids were found to be purified with water, with a large number of pink soap bubbles found inside Hertz's chest cavity. Thing moves on its own, no batteries either. How? He's kind of cute. It's just hopping around on its own. Neat toy. Send a video. Look at this. I haven't touched it. Your cat's gonna eat it, lol. He's fast. Okay, I've cornered him. The door is locked. Could you let me in? Klaus, you coming to the door? Klaus? Pretty freaky. When I think about something like this, I think about the duck in that Repo game. I feel like a lot of things in a lot of the friend slop stuff, if you want to call it that, was influenced by SCPs, especially the weird ones. As a duck fan, I appreciate this one. Though it's not particularly scary, I like ducks. SCP-3588 Cheers by Cadaver Commander. SCP-3588 is an abandoned bar located in Springfield, Oregon. After being destroyed in a fire in 2009, the bar was scheduled for demolition. But after its anomalous properties were discovered, the Foundation purchased the building and established containment. When observed externally or internally via drone, SCP-3588 exhibits no anomalous properties. However, when a human enters through the front entrance, all exterior viewing points, i.e. windows, are obscured, and the interior appears to the human as it did before the fire, undamaged and fully furnished. This is when the entity enters its active phase. When in an active phase, SCP-3588 will always contain an anomalous individual, designated SCP-355801. The individual appears as a Caucasian male of approximately 30 years of age, dressed in a bartender's attire. This entity refuses to leave the area behind the bar and will engage in casual conversation with anyone that approaches it. This bartender is capable of manifesting physical objects, typically ingredients and implements used to serve beverages, and has, as of yet, been unaffected by any application of force upon him. After further trials and impromptu interviews with Foundation personnel, the bartender has shown to possess some degree of omniscience. He can engage in conversation upon an apparently unlimited number of topics, displaying extensive knowledge of current events as well as personal information about all people, even being able to prepare the most preferred beverage of any visitor without being given any information. Wow. The bar is closed off from the public as the bartender has shown to be able to freely provide sensitive information on any topic with perfect precision, including classified government and Foundation intelligence. So you walk into this fuck-ass haunted bar, and a ghost bartender shows up, and you can ask him about anything. You can ask about anyone's personal life. You can ask about, like, social security numbers. You can ask about the pyramids. You can ask about aliens, and he will know. And his knowledge of The Simpsons, photographic. Springfield, after all. SCP-1243. Relocation Services by Lord Metalton. SCP-1243 is a web page with a URL of redacted. The web page consists of a black background, a JPEG logo reading Redacted Relocation Services, and a text field labeled Name, with a return field labeled Cost, and a button labeled Place Order, as well as Customer Service Counter. All these elements are encoded using very simple HTML. Upon filling out the name field with any name, alias, or title of an individual, the cost field will automatically return a value, usually in USD, but occasionally in other forms of payment. High-interest, well-protected targets will typically have higher cost. Orders that the customer cannot afford will simply be denied. When the Place Order button is clicked, 3 events will occur. 1. The specified price will be deducted from the user's possession. 2. The named individual will appear in the customer's vicinity within 12 to 72 hours. And 3. The customer's served counter will increment by 1. The individual delivered to the customer will be invariably the one the purchaser intended to order, even though no information other than the name, alias, or title was entered in the name field. When an order is placed, entities named SCP-12432s will appear in the vicinity of the named individual in order to abduct and deliver them. It's just Amazon, for real. Like real life haunted Amazon. Instances of SCP-12432s are usually described as humanoids whose features have been significantly altered by surgical means. They have been observed entering buildings through locked doors and rarely traveling through objects such as mirrors and TV screens to reach their targets. While the entities can be stopped, knocked out, and killed via physical violence, no abduction has ever been prevented this way, as more instances will arrive to take their place. Despite the Foundation's best efforts, the customer served counter continues to increase at an alarming rate. The possibility of knowledge of SCP-1243 being spread by outside sources is under consideration. I get, as someone who's not really overly familiar with SCPs, I understand these are like really good creative writing prompts. That's kind of what we're getting here. Like, okay, so you enter a target, but you have to be able to afford it. It's like Death Note-y kind of thing. And then it will be delivered to you. But what happens if you keep capturing these, I don't know, these creatures, and you keep killing them? Like, will there be an infinite number of them? Maybe the government set up a room. Like a kill box in RimWorld. Whoa. Let's see. I have another idea for music. I'm gonna do, I got a soundtrack here I want to use in a moment. Alright. SCP-504, Critical Tomatoes by Blast Yo Boots. Alright. SCP-504 is a species of tomato, physically and genetically identical to that of the typical commercially grown tomato. It was recovered in Kentucky after a woman reported to the police that her farmer husband had been murdered by his lunch. The Foundation soon discovered SCP-504's properties when a poor attempt at humor is made verbally within human hearing range of SCP-504's tomatoes. They instantly accelerate to a speed of at least 100 miles per hour in the direction of the sound's source. The speed of the tomato appears to be relative to the inciting attempt at humor. Relative variables seem to include corniness, humor to length ratio, and use of puns. The following is a log of tests with SCP-504. I'd be dead. Oh my god, I would be so fucking dead. Joke. Is a hippopotamus or just a really cool hippopotamus? Result. No change in velocity. Joke. If you have dentures, don't use artificial sweetener because you'll get a fake cavity. Result. Tomato clocked in 145 miles per hour. Subject injured. 2 teeth dislodged. Joke. I tried to walk into Target, but I missed. Result. Tomato clocked at 212 miles per hour. Subject's right eye was destroyed. Joke. So I was going to bed. My brother told me, "Good night. Don't let the bedbugs stick their proboscis in your skin and suck your blood. Good luck on a healthy dermis." Result. 2-second pause before activity. Tomato clocked in at redacted. Sound barrier broken. Subject killed. Joke. CD player playing Harmful If Swallowed by Dane Cook, 2003. Result. At certain timestamp, tomato clocked 167 miles per hour. CD player broken. Joke. A television playing the SNL Sarah Palin and Hillary Clinton skit. Result. Tomato reacted as if confused. Slow motion video shows 3 separate bursts of speed in excess of 200 miles per hour. 2 incidences of normal throwing speeds and 1 instance of backward motion. Researcher hypothesizes that the tomato was unsure whether to take it seriously. Joke. A portable computer playing the following joke. 2009 is going to be a complex year. We already know the real part. We still have to find the imaginary part. Result. Supersonic blast detected. Computer was completely vaporized by the tomato's kinetic energy. Sensors approximate a speed of 2,174 miles per hour. Silly. Editor's note. Imagine what these things would do if they found out about the Gray Leno show. Alright. I mean, yeah. I'm worried. Of course. I don't want these tomatoes anywhere near me. But I think about, hang on. Data. Star Trek joke.
Doctor's office.
Hang on a minute. We gotta get the real effect. I need you to see it. So you can see Data's long arms. Very important.
Guy walks into the doctor's office. The doctor tells him you need an operation. The guy says, "I want a second opinion." The doctor says, "Okay, you're ugly too." Boom, boom. Was I funny?
No.
Tomato clocked at 4,000 miles per hour. SCP-1733, season opener. SCP-1733 is a digital recording of the 2010 to 2011 NBA season opening game played at the TD Garden in Boston, Massachusetts, October 26, 2010, between the Celtics and Miami Heat. The fuck? SCP-1733 was discovered when a Boston native complained in a Facebook thread October 27th about a technical foul occurred in the third quarter that never occurred in the original broadcast. When confronted, the man uploaded the relevant segment, much to the confusion of his derogators. Foundation agents embedded in Facebook's moderator team deleted the thread and procured the IP addresses of all individuals present in the thread at the time to locate and administer Class A amnestics. The Motorola brand DVR was recovered for study and containment. You can tell what year these were written. Study of the footage has shown that this particular recording is capable of diverging from the original broadcast with repeated playbacks. While initially only showing slight diversions, SCP-1733 later began to markedly digress from the content of its earlier playbacks. Recorded entities within the video are ascertained to be real people with burgeoning awareness of their existence. It is hypothesized that playbacks impart a measure of cognizance to the entities, with consecutive playbacks expanding recall of prior playings. This effect is cumulative and extends to all persons in the arena. Quality of the awareness has progressed from reported feelings of déjà vu by commentator personalities Mike and Tommy to a near-perfect memory of the preceding playbacks, though none have yet demonstrated an awareness that they reside in a digital recording. This is very strange. It was originally theorized the purpose of SCP-1733 was to depict an infinite number of game outcomes, as players were able to modify their strategies during every playback, resulting in vastly different end scores by playback 34. As quality of recall increased exponentially, by playback 45, all players declined to play altogether and assembled with the rest of those in attendance to formulate possible escape plans. It's important to note that the inhabitants of SCP-1733 have been unable to exit the setting of the recording by any traditional means, as the doors leading to the outside of the arena refuse to open, even with immense force being applied. Escape attempts have since grown more desperate, and have included attempts at constructing makeshift explosives, all-out rioting, and ritualistic murder and disembowelment of players in the hopes of appeasing whatever it is that confines them. Upon the beginning of a new playback, all persons are returned to their pre-game status unharmed, but with full recollection of prior events. Due to the distress visited upon inhabitants of SCP-1733, testing has been suspended indefinitely. The following is a test log of notable developments. Playback 2. Miami Heat. LeBron James scowls at a group of hecklers. Playback 15. Score remains 0-0 for 8 consecutive possessions. Fans appear noticeably subdued when displayed on the facility's HD scoreboard screen. Maybe the soundtrack is including.
Grandpa's funeral took place today.
Oh my god. The Eternal Darkness soundtrack includes this fucking text from the game, the voice acting. Well, that's a shame. Oh, man. Well, all right. We'll go back to Fester's quest then. I don't know if this is the most appropriate music. Or this. All right. Playback 26, Miami Heat victory. Crowd becomes aggressive, shouting obscenities and hurling foodstuffs at the Celtics. Commenter Tom Heinsohn bemoans the Celtics for becoming so complacent after cracking the code of the Miami Heat offense, heavily implying awareness of the previous playings. Playback 44, both teams emerge disoriented and confused. Game is suspended. Time is spent by medical professionals assessing the mental state of players who remain convinced they had dreamt playing the season opener the previous night. Commentators and crowd are also afflicted. Playback 45, players refuse to play. Everyone gathers in the court to appraise the situation. Doors are tested but cannot be budged. Recording ends as crowd begins to fashion makeshift weapons to pry open the doors. From now on, all following playbacks are seen through a single static shot of a broadcast view camera as the cameraman no longer manipulate the equipment. Cameraman. Playback 51, first recorded violent incident between two groups of audience members. Playback 52, the man knocked unconscious in the previous playback is returned to previous state unharmed. He then ambushes and bludgeons his attacker to death at the 3412 mark. All attempts to contact family members and friends outside the facility are met with failure. Playback 73, 3 males are severely injured by an explosive fastened to the exit door. No damage to the door is visible. Playback 95. Hedonistic displays of sex and violence begin. Playback redacted. Crowd storms player facilities to retrieve Paul Pierce and LeBron James. The players are ritualistically sacrificed and displayed on the arena's jumbotron. This has no effect on the recording. Playback redacted. Mass murders and sacrifices occur within seconds of the start of the recording, which is this. Nice, it's CJ. Playback redacted. First recorded deviation in arena light to a deep red color. Data expunged. I mean, I've seen this. This just happens. This is crazy, by the way. I really like that one. That one, there's a lot of... a relatively dumb concept ends up having an extremely deep kind of thought exercise. I kind of want to see what would happen if they did escape, though. Like, that would be a fun thing to think about. Like, what happens if they do manage to somehow... I mean, I guess the rules of the SCP is that it's a videotape, so there's no way they could escape, right? But what if... SCP-3008, a perfectly normal, regular old IKEA by Mortos. SCP-3008 is a large retail unit previously owned and branded as IKEA, a popular retail chain. A person entering SCP-3008 through the main entrance and passing out of sight of the doors will find themselves translocated to SCP-3008-1. This is a space resembling the inside of an IKEA furniture store, extending far beyond the limits of what could physically be contained within the dimensions of the retail unit. I know I've played a game like this before. Inconclusive results from the use of laser rangefinders indicates that the space may be infinite. The infinite IKEA is inhabited by an unknown number of civilians trapped within prior to contaminant by the Foundation. They seem to have formed rudimentary civilization within the IKEA, constructing settlements and fortifications for the purpose of defending against SCP-30082. They are human entities that exist within the IKEA and resemble deformed sentient mannequins wearing IKEA staff uniforms. While initially appearing harmless, they become violent toward all other life forms during the night phase, determined by the unit's overhead lighting activating and deactivating at times consistent with the opening and closing times of the original store. They're unresponsive to questioning in this state, though will react violently if attacked. The Infinite IKEA appears to have one or more exits located within, though these exits do not appear to have fixed position, making it difficult to leave SCP-30081 once inside. Still, 14 individuals have managed to exit SCP-3008 since containment. Following extensive debriefings, all individuals were administered amnestics and released. What's amnestics? I'm not sure. Amnesty? Or just anesthetics, drugs? To give them... Oh, amnesia, to make them forget. A memory wipe. So it's Men in Black. Interesting. Well, there was a game I played. Maybe several, but one in particular I remember where you had to craft... It was like, what's that fuck-ass game, chat? Culling. It was like the culling. But it was within an IKEA. So I'm assuming that was based off of this. This one has no text. I'm kind of confused about this. Hang on. Let me show you what the document looks like here. It's just this. Huh. Okay, let's take a look. So there's 9. Okay. Some kind of creature. It looks like it's made out of tape. Like analog. I don't know. What am I looking at? I don't know what I'm looking at. It doesn't look... You can't talk about it. Am I already dead? Okay, so I'm gonna pretend that I have some kind of immunity to this creature. But it seems to, you can only speak of it in photography, in symbol. Wow. Try translating the images to text. Well, this one is you're using pictures and symbols, and it just shows up and it takes it away. It doesn't like that, but it just takes it away. All right, pictograms. Okay. It takes anything it thinks of it, that thinks of it or is resembling some aspect of it. Huh. He wrote the info first, then he said it out loud. Class D guy asks to write down information on this guy, so it summoned it. Only pictures are safe, hence why this has no written words whatsoever. That's really cool. That's actually a really good one. Very, very creative. I'm doomed, by the way. And that's by Lurk D. SCP-999, The Tickle Monster by Prof. Snyder. SCP-999 appears to be a large, amorphous, gelatinous mass of translucent orange slime, weighing about 120 pounds, with a consistency similar to peanut butter. Subject size and shape is malleable and can change shape at will. Though when idle, SCP-99 becomes a rounded dome roughly 2 meters wide and 1 meter in height. Its body is filled with a viscous orange substance of unknown chemical makeup, though it is capable of digesting organic materials with ease. Subject's temperament is best described as playful and dog-like. When approached, it will react with elation, slithering over to the nearest person and leaping upon them, hugging them with a pair of pseudopods while nuzzling the person's face with a third, all while emitting high-pitched gurgling and cooing noises. The surface of SCP-999 emits a pleasing odor that differs with whomever it is interacting with. Recorded scents include chocolate, fresh laundry, bacon, roses, and Play-Doh. This doesn't sound so bad. Touching the subject's surface causes an immediate mild euphoria, which intensifies the more one is exposed to it, and lasts long after separation from the creature. Subject's favorite activity was found to be tickle wrestling. SCP-999 has never been found to purposefully attempt harm on others, though injuries may occur. The subject will apologize if someone is physically hurt by an interaction, while the creature will interact with anyone, including other violent SCPs. It seems to have a special interest in those who are unhappy or hurt in any way. Persons suffering from depression or PTSD have reported an improvement in mental health after multiple interactions with SCP-999. The possibility of manufacturing antidepressants from the subject's slime is being discussed. SCP-999 seems to love all animals, refusing to eat any meat and even risking its own life to save others. On one occasion, leaping in front of a person to take a bullet fired at them, sustaining no permanent damage in the process. Subject's diet consists entirely of candy, with M&Ms and Necco wafers being its favorites. So I'm now learning that not every SCP is some kind of, like, horror demon creature. Just most. Okay. See, that's cool because you can have this creature interact with other ones. So what if you get this guy in with the previous guy, who we're not supposed to talk or think about, and just see what happens? I don't know. Well, that's interesting. Next is SCP-1609, Remains of a Chair, by Rio Gale. SCP-1609, sit in the chair, Douglas, used to be a large chair made of varnished oak and bleached leather, carved in the form of a reclining woman in a restful state. It possessed the ability to sense when a person within certain radius felt the need to sit down or rest without a comfortable nearby seat. At this point, SCP-1609 would teleport to them and remain in place until another person experienced a similar urge. Its ability to teleport, perceive its environment, react to stimuli, and reconstitute its own mass rapidly made it a docile and pleasant entity. At the present time, SCP-1609 is a pile of splinters, wood chippings, nails, and scraps of bleached leather and fabric. After an incident involving a wood chipper, Foundation operatives discovered the entity and linked it to potentially 3 deaths of personnel responsible for reducing it into its current state. The incident turned SCP-1609 from a harmless anomaly to an angry, vengeful pile of scrap that reacts aggressively to any stimuli which it connects with a threat or botherance to its existence. During a typical violent reaction, the entity will teleport a portion of its mass inside the lungs of nearby personnel, causing immediate and severe lacerations to the interior of the lungs, which rapidly leads to the victim's death. In spite of this, SCP-1609 prefers situations in which it is utilized by humans and will actively seek out situations where it can be put to use if it is left idle. Due to the volatile nature of the SCP, the Foundation established some ground rules to follow to minimize casualties. SCP-1609 is usually contained within a flower bed, in which a range of aesthetically pleasing flowers and plants are to be cultivated, and SCP-1609 is to be used as mulch. All who pass the flower bed must remark on the beauty of it, with particular emphasis on the quality of the mulch. Personnel assigned to SCP-1609 are required to wear plain clothes in order to prevent accidental triggering a violent response from it. If a violent reaction occurs, staff are to act in a submissive, non-threatening manner, and weapons are to be discarded. Absolutely no mention or reference to SCP-1609's time as a chair. Absolutely not. Meanwhile, if they had just left it a chair, it would have been probably, like, a little bit better. But I do wonder, like, what are the 3 chair-related deaths? Did it, like, teleport into someone by accident? The poor chair. If it wasn't a chair, it was that stuff. Well, Mr. Dink has also turned himself into a chair on occasion. I will say that. SCP-426. I Am a Toaster by Fla. Oh, the 3 victims were the 3 people who mulched it. Fair enough. So here's the next SCP. And hello, I am SCP-426. I must be introduced this way in order to prevent ambiguity. I am an ordinary toaster, able to toast bread when supplied with electricity. However, when any human being mentions me, they inadvertently refer to me in the first person. Despite all attempts, there is yet a way to speak or write about me in third person. I was discovered in the home of the Redacted family after the gruesome deaths of 3 of its members. Approximately 2 months after the family received me, fire crews were dispatched to the home due to an electrical fire. The younger Mrs. Redacted died from attempting to devour an active electric socket. The other 2 victims had died shortly after the fire occurred. The elder Mrs. Redacted had gorged herself with nearby 10 kilos of bread before her stomach burst and she died of internal bleeding. The younger Mr. Redacted died after attempting Redacted with me. The sole survivor was the elder Mr. Redacted, aka this. Oh. It appears that any person exposed to me for long enough believes that they are also a toaster, and act accordingly. Effects include saying, I am a toaster, subconsciously, refusing to eat food, accepting bread, and staying plugged in, often injuring themselves to fulfill this role. I'm not sure where my cognitohazardous properties came from. For the time being, I am kept in an isolated and sealed chamber with no windows through which I may be viewed. Staff who interact with me are rotated out frequently to avoid long-term exposure. So, you can't spend too much time around this toaster, otherwise you might redacted it. That's a little I don't know. It's a little weird, I'd say. That'd be one way to put it. Chad, I'm feeling kind of like I want to accept some bread. What do you think? You guys want to... You hungry? SCP-4633, Rock Paper Yog-Sothoth by Mortos. SCP-4633 is an alteration to the games of Rock, Paper, Scissors, in which players can use additional anomalous gestures. Once a game featuring SCP-4633 begins, participants are able to use non-standard gestures which integrate into the existing mechanics of the game. When used, players' hands will undergo rapid and extreme morphological changes, allowing them to correctly perform the final gesture. The resulting forms are typically reminiscent of those found in sea life. Once completed, these changes are permanent, though those affected appear to suffer no distress at this fact. Surgical correction is possible, but where treatment is possible at all, amputation is typically the only viable recourse. SCP-4633 was originally discovered in an email with the subject, "Pro Tips to Win at Rock, Paper, Scissors." The email contained an obviously manipulated image of a man with 6 arms performing 3 unknown gestures, and was followed by a largely incoherent exposition about the importance of the game to human culture and the necessity of winning at all costs. The following are examples of anomalous gestures observed over a number of games. Shanaknar. Hand turns inside out. Reverses the usual win-loss pairings for the rest of the game. Shatek. Hand splits into prehensive tentacles connected by skin tissue. Opponent is forced to use the same gesture to maintain parity, as the tentacles allow for a larger variety of gestures to be performed. Game lasted 3 hours, during which 37 distinct gestures were used. Ilarl Teth. A massive coral shaped like a hand. Player proceeded to beat opponent unconscious with their new limb, unclear if this was part of the game. Mentorok. Chaturga. Pargon. It's all eternal darkness gods. Someone said there should be a buckshot roulette-like that's inspired by this SCP. Hey, call them buck slops. This is genuinely an interesting idea. I have no idea how you would balance out something like this. Or, like, grow tentacles, but... sounds like VR could be implemented. I like it. I like it. Next... Gorefield by Tanhony. SCP-3166. Is a 2.1 meter tall humanoid entity presumed paraphysical in nature. Known to manifest during periods when the Garfield media franchise is performing poorly in terms of public reception. The exterior layer of SCP-3166's body resembles a crudely made costume of the character Garfield, which field inspection has shown to be composed of legitimate cat fur. The interior mass, however, has shown to be composed entirely out of lasagna. Of course. Upon the criteria for its manifestation being met, SCP-3166 will appear in the vicinity of a suitable individual, hereby referred to as the target, and move towards their location. Known targets have included individuals prominently involved in rival media to the Garfield franchise, individuals formerly involved in the production of the Garfield comics, individuals involved in parodies of the Garfield franchise, vocal critics of the Garfield franchise, Garfield creator Jim Davis, Upon reaching its target, SCP-3166 will attempt to inflict bodily harm upon them through a mixture of blunt force and force feeding of lasagna obtained through self-disembowelment. During this process, SCP-3166 will vocalize by meowing, purring, and screeching in the manner of an agitated cat. Lasagna outside of SCP-3166's mass is proven to be an effective form of bait, as upon seeing it, the entity will abandon its original and the entity will abandon its original goal and instead incorporate the lasagna into itself. SCP-3166 was first manifested on October 23, 1989, within the Chicago offices of United Media, who were the publishers of Garfield comic strip at the time. Upon manifestation, SCP-3166 wandered around the office, indiscriminately assaulting any individuals present after security attempted to apprehend it. It demanifested 20 minutes later. Foundation agents responding to the situation distributed amnestics as appropriate. Over the course of the following week, several similar manifestations took place at a number of United Media offices, ending on October 29th. Following that date, SCP-3166 altered its behavior to its current form. See the Week of Garfield comic strips beginning October 23rd, 1989. For additional contexts on pataphysical awakening. Wow. There's a chill in here this morning. What an eerie sensation. This doesn't feel like my home. John? Odie? Anybody home? I'm alone. You have no idea how alone you are, Garfield. Steady, Garfield. There must be a good reason why the house is empty. John must be at the grocery. My home has been abandoned. No one has lived here for years. But that means I haven't lived here for years. What's that? John, Odie, you're home. Hello, Garfield, have some food. Locked fast within a time when he no longer exists, Garfield grapples with his greatest fear, loneliness. Are these real? After years of taking life for granted, Garfield is shaken by a horrifying vision of the inevitable process called time. He has only one weapon. Denial. I don't want to be alone. Want some breakfast, Garfield? Who needs it? I need you. An imagination is a powerful tool. It can tint memories of the past, shape perceptions of the present, or paint a future so vivid that it can entice or terrify, all depending upon how we conduct ourselves today. Apparently that is a real comic of Garfield. Wow. Initially, individuals involved with production of Garfield comic strips claimed to have no memory of working on that week's strips. All researchers working on SCP's 3166's containment are to familiarize themselves with this material. Addendum. Using tissue samples taken by Foundation agent during SCP-3166's most recent manifestation, genetic analysis of the meat present within the entity's lasagna has shown it to be genetically identical to Garfield creator Jim Davis. The implications of this are unclear. However, during surveillance of Mr. Davis by containment teams, he has complained of severe mosquito bites in the night on a number of occasions immediately preceding SCP-3166's manifestation. Wow. SCP-2006 Too Spooky by Wyzong. SCP-2006 is an anomalous spherical entity of roughly 50 centimeters in diameter when in its default state. Its stated goal is to cause feelings of fear and or horror in as many humans as possible. To accomplish this purpose, SCP-2006 possesses the ability to change its shape, mass, volume, density, chemical structure, and voice to any form it desires. The extent of its shape-shifting abilities is unknown and is currently thought to be unlimited. At present, SCP-2006 has demonstrated a fondness for taking the forms of various entities and villains from the various horror and science fiction movies that it has witnessed. The most common form that it has taken is that of Roman from the 1953 movie Robot Monster. SCP-2006 is capable of speaking, even when it possesses the form of an entity that is normally unable to speak. It will generally attempt to startle and or scare any individual it comes into contact with, but after doing so, it will become affable and friendly. The reason behind this is currently unknown. Although it has repeatedly stated its goal of causing as much fear as possible, SCP-2006 is a poor judge of the concepts that cause fear in humans and is constantly searching for new methods in which to accomplish its goal. This poor recognition extends to the recognition of emotions in humans, as SCP-2006 is incapable of distinguishing between subtle differences in emotion that would be obvious to a human. Due to its stated goal, physical immortality, and motivation to constantly evolve its shape-shifting repertoire, SCP-2006 is to be contained in an airtight containment cell and monitored for any changes in form. All personnel coming into contact with SCP-2006 are required to enroll in an acting course with a focus on expressing fear and surprise to appease the entity. Every month, SCP-2006 is shown at least one new extremely low-quality horror or science fiction movie containing horror elements. All interactions with the entity must confirm that it continues to believe that said works demonstrate a superb grasp of horror. The reasoning behind these containment procedures is obvious. Imagine what would really happen. What would happen if SCP-2006 broke containment and found out what really scared people. Imagine if it saw the horror and fear of war, or the concepts of paranoia or phobias common to each and every human being. Imagine if it found the true horrors of a nuclear holocaust, or worse, Gorefield. I'd like to show you this image. There you go. I like this guy. I enjoy the concept of they have to show it the worst possible horror, and there's a lot of terrible horror. Like, at any given time, there is so much bad horror being released. It is one of the easiest genres to create a movie. Hear me out. But could also, because it could be low cost, it's popular, they can make money, and sometimes they blow up. And it could be a great way for a director to get their start. A lot of, like, really good directors can start with horror, and have. So, there's just so much of it. It's not easy to make horror, by the way, but that's why I like this SCP, is just he's shown just trash. And you have to act, you have to pretend that you're scared. Oh no, you're very scary. Oh my god. Oh my god. It's pretty good. Show him the Skibbity movie. Yeah. Well, in closing, thank you for giving my pack a chance. I hope Vinny and chat enjoyed it as much as I enjoyed making it. This was a way for me to share my passion and interest in the stories coming out of the SCP Foundation. I'm open to compiling a more substantial part 2 if there's interest. Shout out to SCP Foundation Wiki for being a great all-encompassing resource for this stuff. I recommend checking it out for yourself if you haven't. As someone who doesn't have that much interest in the horror genre, I got hooked reading about strange creatures and anomalies for a good while. What was that, what was that game I played, chat? That had, like, the anomalies. No. It's like, you had to... Observation duty? No. It had, like, yeah, the hotline game. Home safety hotline. Like, I like this stuff. That's kind of, for me, that one was cool, because it's just, like, weird duendes. And it had some cool SCP stuff. There's a lot of SCPs that chat is recommending. Like, SCP-2614 is a Sopranos one. Okay, here, let me read this one. SCP-2614 is to be kept in a locked container. It's a DVD copy of the 5th season of the television drama The Sopranos. Okay. The word bookshelf is written on it. It's non-anomalous unless an action is performed during a scene where character is watching the film redacted. What the fuck? I mean, yeah, this is a lot. I don't want to continue doing these. If maneuvered out of the Soprano residence, it is theoretically possible to ascend to deep space, although this is not feasible given the rate of travel. Okay, hang on, let me read this. This is crazy. The fuck? If the play button is pressed on any working remote device, the viewer is granted control of the camera view through the device's directional pad and the center button used for forward movement. So, the camera is free-moving, fully maneuverable. Upon the performance of this action, it is not possible to revert to the previous non-anomalous state without ejecting the object and thoroughly cleaning with alcohol. After assuming control of the camera, the show's setting will begin to elapse in real time. As such, characters have been observed to continue interacting after what would normally have been a scene transition. It is not possible to fast forward or rewind. Judging by the apparent in-universe date at the outset, the user would have to wait 3 days and 14 hours to navigate the camera to a strip club known to be frequented by associates of the DeMeo family in order to be present for the next chronological broadcast scene. The bada bing? The POV cannot pass through solid objects. If maneuvered out the Soprano residence, it is theoretically possible to ascend to deep space. The movement of this observational point is not bounded in 3 dimensions. Recent research has succeeded in navigating the camera to Boston, Massachusetts. It appears that the world depicted contains numerous cities populated by actual individuals. However, despite the show's realism, its own stylistic flourishes and nature as a television show, such as major characters being unusually audible in social settings, continue to be apparent. These, which continue to be referred to as meta-anomalies, are not acknowledged by characters or bystanders. The POV itself cannot manipulate the environment, but is capable of entering the setting of other visual media as it is directed to move into an in-universe television or computer screen until the image occupies the entire field of view. From that point, the camera can be navigated into other screens in that setting, and so on, potentially indefinitely. Researchers concede the impossibility of fully mapping these mimetic universes, although efforts are ongoing. Since these mediums can potentially differ radically from their parent universe, such as actors existing as their actual character portrayal, it is possible to enter alternate or unknown media. There's also, you can click on some links here and check out, like, logs of, various tests, which I will not be doing, but you can, like, here. Universe, The Sopranos. I'll read a these are actually really good, by the way. This is a rabbit hole to go down. I'll read a couple. actually, because this is now very interesting. This is crazy that I was like tired and done reading, and now I'm like super invested. First recorded experiment after discovery of effect. POV directed to a bookshelf in the Sopranos' living room where a note written in a journal pad is clearly legible. It reads, "The art is the emanation of man, man the emanation of nature, God the grandfather of art." Universe, The Sopranos. POV ordered to remain in place at starting point for exactly 10 hours, during which Tony Soprano retires to bed and awakens at 7 a.m. He subsequently becomes agitated at the lack of a brand of orange juice drink in the refrigerator. This scene is not present in the show. POV, Universe Sopranos. Description. POV is navigated out of the Sopranos' residence through an open window in the second-floor bathroom. The night sky is cloudy and does not match corresponding meteorological records of that date. POV is able to break cloud cover and move indefinitely upwards, if so desired. Universe, Sopranos. POV was placed in Soprano bathroom. Character Tony Soprano observed to have sobbed in shower. This is not mentioned in the original plotline. Universe, Sopranos. POV moved to the residence of the character Christopher Moltisanti, a protege and nephew of Tony Soprano. Character is observed to go on an alcohol binge and shout profanities directed at his uncle. This is not depicted in the original broadcast. Universe, The Wizard of Oz. POV was maneuvered to the local Newark library where a child was watching the film on a desktop computer. POV traveled east for redacted days before entering what appears to be an outer space void colored pink and yellow. Universe, The Simpsons. Found in a home located in the Soprano neighborhood. When POV is directed out of Springfield, researchers discovered characters in the style of a rival show Family Guy, which has been justified in the crossover event that aired 10 years after initial airing of the anomalous Sopranos episode. The program's respective cartoon physics have been observed to cause considerable environmental and occasionally urban devastation. Universe, Last Temptation of Christ. Found in the DeMeo family associate Bobby Bacalari's residence. After the final scene, after which a crucified Jesus proclaims "It is done," and the screen flickers to white, the credits did not play. POV was ordered to move forward, as there was no way to gauge movement. Researchers were ordered to place an object on the center button overnight. Upon their return, POV was revealed to have been stopped in front of a bioluminescent female figure. Data expunged. (2001: A Space Odyssey). Researchers were able to discover a second terrestrial monolith in the ocean, supposedly linked to an Atlantis-like civilization after entering a researcher character's office. I mean, it just goes on and on and on. The Gladiator universe, there's trailer for the film Troy. Wow. Some pretty interesting writing here. Let's see. Commercial for a brand of laundry detergent. As commercial runtime was 24 seconds, researchers observed a wall or area of white space advancing at a slow rate from the west of the commercial setting. Researchers reported conditions in the city as becoming increasingly violent and chaotic. Researchers have been advised not to enter commercial broadcasts due to the distress experienced by apparent inhabitants. Well, there you go. Alright, well listen, chat, I'm tired. So I'm gonna go. There's a Beetle SCP. I'm sure there's a lot of good ones. This is just Vinny reads at you for an hour and 10 minutes. but I enjoyed it a lot. I learned about some of the more creative ones. I'm less interested in like monsters and more interested in this kind of shit. Like the Sopranos one was perfect. And then like the chair one was real weird, and the fucking, you know which one? The basketball game one was the most intriguing to me, because it was just like that, and the Sopranos one just really are their own little pocket dimensions. The tomato one was really funny. I like that one. But yeah, all of them were interesting, but I really, those are the ones I think I resonated with the most. So thank you for being here, chat, here on Sunday stream. Thank you for watching the SCP Spotlight. Thank you to Jizzy Jazz. Can you change your name, please? For submitting this pack. I would be interested in a part 2. I know there's a lot of favorites that chat has. I would probably want to wait a while, but one day I wouldn't mind doing this again. If there's other SCP-related media that's actually really good and not just slender, I'd be interested in that too. So, change name to Jazzy Jizz. I guess that's a name change. I guess that is something you could change. No, you don't have to change your name. I'm just fucking with you. But that's a very fun name to say out loud. And definitely don't change it to Jazzy Jizz. This chat is your SCP. Well, chat could be an SCP. There could be a stream SCP. SCP-6969. There probably exists that exact thing. But the so-called chat, when the chat room closes, doesn't exist. No record of chat members of any kind in that particular chat room can be found. Only when the chat is opened and the stream starts do the chat members exist. So you can start with that, and then you can extrapolate like what kind of tests can be done. Maybe stream was left on for 1 week, and you know, there were people who like died. You know, they're just chat members that just started dying because they didn't know how to eat or like drink or keep themselves alive, and experienced hunger for the first time. I don't know. There could be some really interesting stuff. Chat, thank you. Have a good one. This week, there's going to be a number of things. I'm going to try to play No, I'm Not Human. I have something for Halloween itself. Well, I'm not going to be live on Halloween Day, but I will be live Thursday. So I'm going to be live every day this week, except Friday and Saturday, of course. I'm taking those days off. But Monday to Thursday, I will be doing streams. It's going to be a lot of, you know, Eternal Darkness, as well as one-off stuff, and just, yeah, Halloween things. And then Thursday will be the big Halloween stream, which, you know, it's not going to be as big as this, but it'll be fun. There's going to be something Vinesauce related, and more Sunday stream segments. So stop by then at normal times, except tomorrow, I think. So tomorrow, I'm probably going to do an early stream because I have band stuff, and I don't want to rush band stuff because, you know, it's a little weird timing tomorrow. So I think I'm just going to do early tomorrow. Like 1 p.m. Maybe noon. Yeah. All right. Well, for real, good night now. Thank you. Thanks everyone that submits Sunday stream segments. Thank you, chat, for being here. Thank you for your, you know, viewing, and some of you who have subbed. I appreciate that very much. And that'll be it. Good night. And pleasant dreams about the Sopranos pocket dimension. And how could I leave you without this?
I love. You love. We love. This is love. I hate. You hate. We hate. This is hating. I like to eat. You like to eat. We like to eat. This is eating. I like to drink. You like to drink. We like to drink. This is drinking. I like to shit. You like to shit. We like to shit. This is shitting. I piss. You piss. We piss. This is piss.